Welcome to Everything Life Coaching with John Kim and Noelle Cordeaux, founders of JRNI Coaching. If you're inspired to begin your own life coaching practice or just want to learn a little bit more about what it's all about, visit jrni.co. That's JRNI.co.
Hey guys, on today's episode, one of my favorite concepts. This is a game changer and it has changed my life big time. Noelle,
John, we're
fixed
gonna.
mindset versus growth mindset. Growth. I said growth mindset.
You did.
Oh man, I had a growth mindset.
Once upon a time, you
Once.
had a growth
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah, absolutely. I do still a little bit. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset.
Yes. Let's talk about the origins of this. So this term for fixed versus growth mindset was first coined by Carol Dweck in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
John, what were you doing in 1999?
1999, high top fade, flannels, Timberland boots, a Wrangler Jeep, just trying to be cool.
Yeah.
Fraternity, I think, 1999. No, it was right around after college, I think. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
was a
just trying
sophomore
to
in
fit in.
college. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was definitely raising some hell around 1999. So, taking us back, it's so interesting this term and how it works and how it manifests, and it has so much to do with the work of coaching. And a lot of
mhm.
what we do as coaches, I think, is spend time dismantling fixed mindsets.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to walk us through what these are?
Yeah, let's do it. So, well, let me just give you some examples, and this kind of helps for me and of what a fixed and growth mindset is, and then we'll get into it deeper. Fixed mindset, it's basically the belief, uh, skills, intellect, and talents are set and they're unchallengeable. So it's this idea that you live with a ceiling. So a fixed mindset is, I'll stick to what I know. Either I'm good at it or I'm not. Right? Things are binary. It's fine the way it is, and there's nothing to change. This is a waste of time. There's just too much to figure out. It's easier to give up, or I'm not really smart. This work is boring. No one likes to do it. Uh, for me, this was actually most of my life, and this is why I couldn't build anything and nothing good happened. And then on the growth mindset side, it's the belief that skills, intellect, and talents can be developed through practice and perseverance. So it's I want to learn new things. I'm eager to take risks. Is this really my best work? What else can I improve? I know this will help me, even though it is difficult. I'll use another strategy. My mistakes often help me, right?
Yep.
Failure is a good thing. I recognize my weaknesses and I know what to do to fix them. So it's like it's a difference between being stuck and staying there, or being wide and knowing that your ability, if it's practiced and your craft is worked on, that nothing is impossible. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and for me this is the core of journey coaching because we believe that there's no such thing as a broken human. And with a fixed mindset, it says that if you're broken, you stay broken. And with a growth mindset, which we adhere to 125%, is like you're not broken, get back up. Let's keep going. Let's keep
right.
building.
Right. Can you imagine, Noel, you as the CEO of Journey Coaching, if you had a fixed mindset?
Oh my
What would happen?
god. No.
Right.
I can't. That would, if I had a fixed mindset, we would hit walls all the
Every day.
time.
Yeah.
And with a growth mindset, I look at a wall and I'm like, "Whoo, let's sidestep that fucker." Like,
Right. Right.
it doesn't exist. What wall?
Yeah. I think in startups and in relationships, those two areas, a growth mindset is, I mean, you can't build a relationship or a company with a fixed mindset.
No, never. And I think, when I look at this historically, a fixed mindset has had so much to do with generational programming. coming out of World War II, things are the way they are. You put your head down, you work hard, you
Mhm.
don't
Mhm.
question. And the
Right.
growth mindset, I think 1999, late 90s was when really culturally people were starting to question. People were starting to question a
Yeah.
lot. People started
Yeah.
pushing the envelopes. And it's absolutely imperative for cultural change, growth, expansion to see the world as infinitely possible.
Yeah, I see the visual I'm seeing is a fixed mindset is tracing blueprints, even if they're not honest to you, and then growth mindset is just tossing all the blueprints out the window and creating your own.
Yeah, and you know what goes along with this too is ageism, to a certain degree, and neuroplasticity. So have you ever heard the adage that your brain stops growing at age 25?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, it's not true. But
No.
it is a false statement that your brain stops growing at age 25, but it somehow became part of common culture and has gotten passed around a lot. Before I ever learned about neuroplasticity, I heard that and I was like, well, if my brain stops growing at 25, whoever I am at age 25, that's going to
That's
be
who I
it.
am. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whoa, that's not true.
And also, you're probably not gonna, care about learning or feeding your brain because you're saying to yourself, "It's not gonna grow anymore."
Exactly, and so if you're sticking with this fixed mindset and you're just accepting who you are as finite, you limit your opportunities. And for a long time, it held me back, a fixed mindset, because I just felt like, okay, the person that I am now, this is it. This is what I'm fated to. And
Mhm.
25-year-old Noelle wasn't up to too much.
Did you, at one point in your life, have a fixed mindset or not so
Yeah,
much?
I did.
Mm,
I sure did. I had a fixed mindset, until I was age 29 when I got divorced, and that's when my
mm.
whole world turned upside down, and it was impossible to remain in a fixed mindset because I didn't have the ground was moving underneath me. I had to start pedaling. I had to start figuring it out.
Sometimes survival creates a growth mindset, or you drown.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
also the time when I started to interact with the world of coaching and positive psychology, and I started learning this stuff, and I was like, "Oh my god, you can learn anything. You can do anything. Let's go."
So let me ask you this: at what point does a growth mindset just become ego? So, like, whether we're talking about a relationship or a business, what if you've done everything and maybe it's supposed to expire, right? Or a relationship is toxic, and at one point, do you is it's now ego driving it, not so much a growth mindset?
Yeah, I think there's a huge difference between the statements, "I can learn anything," and "I know everything."
Right.
And to me, a growth mindset requires a space of not knowing and admitting that there's a lot of stuff that you don't know, but you
Yeah.
have the capacity to learn.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically you're saying that getting out of your own way.
Getting out of your own way. And if you find yourself, in an ego-driven place where you're like, I know it all, I've done it all, even, in your relationships with your partner, I know better, I've had this life experience, that's a fixed mindset.
Yeah. Is there somewhere in between? Can someone have, like, sometimes a growth and sometimes fixed?
Of course, because we're
Yeah.
human. And I think it's moment to moment. I think it's
Yeah, and
absolutely moment to moment.
it is for me too, and also it depends on what area of your life, right? So,
Yeah.
like, when it comes to, I don't know, say, working out, I think I have a very growth mindset, but if it comes to, sometimes in business, it can be fixed, and when it comes to and then, of course, it changes on the day too.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the opposite. When it comes to working out, I probably have a pretty fixed mindset.
Right, right.
And when it comes to business, I'm like, there are no limits. Um, and
Yeah.
and those are my own limitations, right? So people with fixed mindsets are more likely to avoid challenges.
Mhm.
So if we're taking, me with working out, when I started powerlifting, I was always stunned when I could get a really heavy weight up because I didn't believe I could.
Right, right.
And then with mindsets, they can be changed. And shifting mindsets have a really profound impact on nearly every aspect of everybody's life. And
Yeah.
what do you think the key is to changing mindset?
Well, I think the first thing is to be aware of your mindset, looking at how you think, when you get stuck, what is your reaction? What is your response? And are you in more of a fixed mindset, or are you more in a growth mindset? And if you're in a fixed mindset, it's time to start. And it's not something you do overnight, right? It's something that you have to practice and exercise to get into having more of a growth mindset.
Oh, yeah, and you're spot on that awareness, self-awareness is the key to everything. That's 100% step 1. And so let's talk about this from a coaching perspective of working with a client. So how can you work with someone when you start to notice that they have a fixed mindset and to get them going with adopting growth oriented actions and strategies? What do you think? So first of all, when you're working with a client, how do you know or what do you pick up on when somebody has a fixed mindset?
What they're saying, their inner dialogue, their perspective on something, them always seeing the glass is half empty,
Mm, yeah,
you know?
negativity creeping in.
Negativity. I use the example that, if my mom won the lottery, and she's a lovely person, but her mindset is very set in survival mode just because of the way that she was raised and, in poverty, war. If she won $200 million, her first comment would be, "Oh my god, the fucking taxes I have to pay on that," you know? The 100 million in taxes I have to pay. That would be her focus,
That
not that she just won $200 million.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I hear that too with clients, and things that I listen for really specifically in this arena are black and white thinking or all or
Right.
nothing statements. Words like
Yep.
always, never, impossible,
Yep.
can't,
Can't.
um, can't. And when you're introducing these new ways of thinking, it's really important as coaches to understand that just like, John's mom, if this is the first time that your client is trying to stretch and trying to grow and trying to try a growth mindset on, they might be slammed and confronted by the dominant fixed mindset dialogue that runs through their head. So it's
Mhm.
important to validate and it's important to normalize and say, hey, you're not alone. John's mom also has a
Right.
fixed mindset, and many people do.
Thank God she doesn't speak English or have the internet. But yeah, absolutely. And you're not also stamping someone with a fig. You're not labeling them. You're not judging them because that could also backfire, right? You're not saying, "Oh, I just realized you have a fixed mindset."
Yeah, no. And so what we do here is we praise our clients' effort to gain awareness and we praise their ability and their talent for being able to reason their way through this. The process itself of grappling, and this is true of anybody. If you guys are doing this for yourself or for your clients, the process of grappling with this stuff is worthy of celebration.
Yeah, I think it's also, subtly through questioning, feeding the growth. So for me, I ask a lot of what if questions. "Hey, what if you did leave your job and start that thing that you've always wanted to do? What if?" And
Mm.
so when you start doing that, it forces them out of the growth, mindset, and they start imagining, and you start feeding what could be, and then, based on their excitement or them shutting it down, you could gauge, where to go with it.
That's awesome. I love that. I use the miracle question a lot.
Mhm.
And it's similar to a what if, but I ask, if everything had changed, what would you feel like inside? If you woke up in the morning, what would be different inside of you? How would you know?
Yeah, what's the first thing, what's the first thing that would tell you that that miracles happen, right?
Yep, exactly. And another really good technique here is under the category of psychoeducation, and that's teaching your client about neuroplasticity. Um, Neuroplasticity is the capacity of your brain to change and grow. So, just like I said, your brain doesn't stop growing at age 25. We have the capacity in our lives to build infinite landscape in our brain for
Mhm.
new thoughts, new feelings, new ways of being, and with repeated practice, we can completely change our entire experience of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing to put a black light on, and Noah mentioned it earlier when she was talking about black and white thinking. any kind of cognitive distortion, right? Any kind of
Mm.
thought pattern, uh, catastrophizing, polarized thinking, anything where it's, this or that, like there's no gray, there's no room for possibilities. All of that is going to fall under a fixed mindset. And, we all to a certain extent have cognitive distortions.
Oh yeah. So and I can explain a little bit about where cognitive distortions come from, how they happen, and it's really crazy complex science. So on our neural pathways, which are the roads that our thoughts travel down. So if you guys picture kind of like this glowing web in your brain, those are neural pathways, and we have these little gray clouds called neural masses that can
Mhm.
be seen with some kind of very specialized MRI scans. And they look like little gray storm clouds, and they sit on top of our neural pathways. And they are composed of shards of memory and emotion.
Mm.
So when your thought travels through a neural mass, it splinters like light through a prism, and your brain brings up these shards of memory and emotion, and we feel a somatic. Soma is body, physical wincing that you might have experienced: throat, chest, stomach, tightness in your
Mhm.
neck,
Right.
the just that, oh, I don't like the way I feel.
Yeah.
And that's typically the physical foundation of a cognitive distortion, where your brain is pulling up all these memories and trying to protect itself from whatever those memories represent, and therefore we go into black and white thinking of I
Mm.
can't, I won't.
So you're saying that, it also manifests in your body, so if you're not aware, if you have a, distorted thought, you could probably catch it by dropping into your body and feeling it, no?
Absolutely, the body goes first. And a big and, capital letters, and most people aren't in touch with their bodies enough to know that that's what's going on.
Mhm. Absolutely. We're
So
most of us are very disconnected with our bodies, we don't even listen to they're such powerful radars, and we don't use them for that.
Oh, yeah, our heart does a lot more than our brains in terms of sensing and feeling,
Mhm, mhm.
and we can drop down and get in touch with our bodies. So, guys, if that sounds familiar to you, if you've ever experienced tightness in your throat, your chest, your stomach, the back of your neck, it's based on memory. I actually had that experience the other day. The and thank God my mom doesn't listen to this podcast as well. But the earliest memory that I have of like a really visceral somatic response is going to church,
Mm,
of just like having this pit in my stomach of like, I don't like it here. And I was the other day, I had to go to my safety deposit box, and I was driving through a town where I used to live when I was married years and years ago. And wow, I was flooded with memory and emotion, and it was in my body because my thoughts were traveling down pathways that they hadn't visited in so very long.
oh, right, right, and then so when that was happening, you felt basically, um um, in your body, you felt what? All the emotions that you felt before when you were there?
I felt uncomfortable in my
Mm,
body. It felt kind of like a washing overwhelm, but also because I know the science so well, I was also cognitively aware that what was happening for me was, oh, my thoughts are traveling down pathways they haven't been down for a very long time, and there are some neural masses there. And I
mhm.
did actually say that self to myself in the car, you know. But if I didn't know that, I would have just felt shitty.
Only Noelle says out loud as she's driving, "There are some neural masses there."
I know. Welcome to the inside of my brain. It's a
Yeah,
fun place to be. Um, but yeah, and the facts really help with this stuff. You know, I say a lot, it's not you, it's your brain. Let's understand how our brains and bodies work so that we can contend with what's actually going on in them.
yeah. So, guys, as you realize that, you are either, pulling from your fixed mindset or you have one, you have to also realize you have the power to choose.
Yes, you do have the power to choose. And there are some steps that I will leave you with. So, The first one is learning to hear your mindset voice.
Mhm.
And I suggest taking a week to do this if this is really new for you, just to learn to become aware of the internal commentary that shows up. And like John said in the beginning, draw awareness to it. Is this fixed or is this growth?
Right.
And then step two is identify um, that this is a fixed or growth mindset and then flip it. Flip it
Yes.
around and see what happens. And also, as John said, realize your power to choose.
Yep.
With awareness comes your power.
I just won $200 million, not I have to pay taxes on $200 million, right? But I mean, seriously, I mean, look what road each of those takes you down. One is worry, dread, panic, how am I gonna, and then the other one is, you know, uh, heaven. The other one is like freedom. The other one is opportunity. So like they're very extreme.
They
But
are very extreme.
it's the same event, but two different mindsets approaching that same event.
Yeah. And just to bring it all home, start to act in line with your mindset.
Yeah, this is the big one, right?
This is the big one. Once you get to the point of saying, "Oh, I don't like this fixed mindset and I want to harness it and I want to, bring up a growth mindset," start to swagger with it, start to dance with it, start
Mhm.
to see what kinds of actions would reflect a growth mindset in this situation. Moving from thought to action is where real growth occurs.
Yeah, or else you're just thinking a lot. And so I think the value here is that if you do start to quote unquote swagger with it and actually put action behind um, a growth mindset, you're going to set yourself up for an experience that's new. And then you may realize, oh, I actually can do something. I actually can publish a book. I actually, can run a company. I actually can run a marathon. Whatever it is, you will set yourself up for an experience. And then when you actually accomplish something that's new and different, you feel that in your body. And that's when I believe internal shifts happen, right?
I completely agree with you. And of those examples that John gave, with the exception, I think, of the marathon, we've both done those things.
Yes, I have not done a marathon either, but yeah,
Yeah, and those are I mean, those are like, I wanna take a second to savor this, because that was a big statement. There was once a time where I, Noelle, believed that I would never in a million years be capable of running a company.
sure, absolutely. And I used to believe that I was a failed writer, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so it's
Hell
it's
yeah.
it's new experiences, right? And listen, as we end, I have never ran a marathon, and one day maybe I
No,
will.
John.
One day
No, we're
maybe I
not
will.
gonna I'm not running a marathon, John.
Get out of the fixed mindset, Noel. We may or we may not, but we can.
Ugh, fair,
Yes. Alright,
fair.
guys, be aware of your mindset and make sure that it is a growth mindset, not a fixed one.
Take care.
Ready to cut through the BS of becoming a coach? Snag John and Noelle's 6-step guide to becoming a life coach at journey.co/everything. That's JRNI.co/everything. If what you've heard here today speaks to you and you want to learn a little bit more about becoming a coach, visit journey.co, JRNI.co. We've graduated nearly 1,000 coaches and offer vibrant community, strong lifetime support, and world-class coaching education. We're fully ICF accredited and look forward to watching how you use coaching to make a bigger impact in the world around you.